I find absolutely fascinating about racist and racism and anti-blackness as an institution is that oftentimes people who participate in this will cut the nose to spite the face, thinking they're showing us something. So I'm sure you've all heard of black people will now be boycotting Asian-owned businesses. Fair. But now you have Asian people logging onto social media saying how they never needed black people's money anyways. Babes, you set up a bunch of businesses in predominantly black neighborhoods, but more specifically poor black neighborhoods. And proximity to whiteness is not going to save you. Those other people are not going to come to the bad side of town to make sure your business stays afloat. That beauty supply store you set up in the hoods that are filled with black hair care products is a business model that is dependent upon black patronage. Do you think white folks won't come from across town to get Chinese takeout in the hood? But you'd rather dig your heels in than hold your own accountable. And I'm saying this as a business owner myself. You cannot alienate yourself from your consumer base and think you're going to be successful. There is no one else who can patronize these businesses because no one else goes into poor black neighborhoods but other black people. And that includes black people who aren't even from that neighborhood. They will go to those neighborhoods to get to the black beauty supply store because that's the only place that sells our hair care products at an affordable price. But sure, you sure showed us damn empty stores.
Go.
What do you want?
This is no more. No,
I'm looking up trying to get a t-shirt, and why are you in my face? Boy, you want some hurry up and buy shit. Huh? Alright, so get the fuck away from me.
You fuck you.
Fuck you.
You fuck you.
Why are people upset that black people are boycotting Asian businesses? No shade, they putting these businesses in our neighborhood and we no longer want to shop at them no more because it's like every time we go in there, it's like racist, anti-black, they think we stealing, they walking behind us, but they're not doing that to other races of people who go into their shops. So we don't want to be in there because we don't want to be discriminated against. And people are upset. Y'all can go there then. Y'all go shop. We not saying nobody. We're just not doing it because it's not like no shade. The fuck no.
What I'm saying is that if you are Asian, before you should even be asking the question about who gets to decide who gets to boycott Asian-owned businesses, we need to be having the conversations in our own spaces about whether or not anti-black racism needs to be addressed and have those uncomfortable conversations within our communities. Because I have been doing this for years, right? Have you been doing that before you decided to come online and post a video being like, oh, Black Americans are such hypocrites, which they are not. They have a right. Like, they have an absolute right because we do have rampant anti-Black racism. And before we are willing, like, we need to be willing to take accountability for that before we get to decide whether or not anybody should be boycotted. Also, it's not even our decision who gets to boycott. Our role, right? And everybody has different roles under systemic oppression, and something happens, is what can I do in solidarity instead of looking at this situation as an us versus them problem. If you're still looking at it from the lens of an us versus them problem, then you are on Rick Chow's side. And I know that people can say like, oh, well, you know what, like I have such a diverse spectrum of ideas and I see things differently. But when it comes to systemic oppression in a world that is made to be black and white, then if you are going to look at this boycotting situation as, oh, you shouldn't boycott us, why should we have to pay for the sins of this one guy? Like, that's not like the systemic playbook, right? Like, when one person does harm, or even if it's a few people doing harm, right? If you think about like slavery in the South, even if it was just a few people, a few families running the whole thing, okay? The systemic issue is still the fact that everybody inherited these core belief systems about certain marginalized groups of people, and we are still perpetuating these ideas, right? Like, the issue is that our ideologies are still there, right? And until we're able to address that, why are we even thinking immediately like, oh, actually, I'm going to argue about boycotting, when you should be looking at yourself in a mirror and being like, hey, I realize that I'm contributing, my community is contributing. How have I seen anti-Black racism manifest in Asian spaces? Like, why are these conversations so difficult to have? I don't know. But they need to be had, right? They exist. They exist. People are doing it. Some people are not. But when it comes to the question of solidarity, are you for or against? And if you are for, then have the conversations first before you decide who gets to boycott.
Well, on today's episode of Chimps Be Chippin', apparently there's a boycott that's in place where basically a bunch of people of a certain demographic have decided that they're not going to do business at businesses anymore, like nail care supply stores, hair care supply stores, beauty supply. They're not going to go to any type of salons. They're not going to go to any gas stations or liquor stores. Pretty much anywhere where the owner or employees even remotely look Oriental, which I find to be so weird because this is the same demographic of people that come on social media and complain about oppression, complain about racism, complain about stereotyping is wrong, and all this stuff is wrong, and people shouldn't be profiled, blah, 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 blah. But now all of a sudden, because they're mad that somebody got found not guilty, suddenly they're going to boycott every single business in this country that is run by people who happen to look a certain way, even though they're completely innocent and had nothing to do with the situation. While they come on social media and jump up and down, hoot and holler like fucking animals, wondering why nobody gives a shit about the problems in their community anymore. Yeah, what? You're gonna boycott a nail salon? First of all, as if you ever paid the bill in the first place. Y'all go in there, get your nails did, and then you walk out the fucking door without paying. Or the beauty care supply store, you're not going to walk in there. Wow, suddenly they're probably not going to deal with theft problems anymore. You're going to come on social media and advocate for boycotting innocent people's businesses, taking away business from them because you're mad about something that someone else did when you don't even know what the nationality or ethnicity of that man actually was. But you're going to look at people and say, oh, they got squinty eyes, they must be the same ethnicity. And then you wonder why people look at you and can't see the difference between you and the fucking animals in prison. You want people to start seeing you as an individual, as a, and start fucking acting like it. Don't come on social media and bitch about prejudice, bitch about oppression, bitch about racism, while you come on here with the same fucking energy being racist towards everybody else. I have never seen a community of people more racist than the black community.
Some white gays and lesbians are never escaping the allegations of being the fucking weakest link of the LGBTQIA+. There, I said it. I know a whole lot of people that are not some of these white gay men and white lesbian women are thinking the exact same fucking thing. And on Pride Month, no less. That's one of y'all's. Entering in a conversation they were not invited in, to give commentary nobody gave a fuck about, and just to make sure she got all of it, throwing out some fucking Asian stereotypes her goddamn self. Some of you white gays and lesbians are not ever beating the fucking allegations. You are the reason Pride sucks. You want to know how these motherfuckers really, truly feel about you? Some of you white gays and lesbians who will hold on to that whiteness but not hold on to the fact that you're gay or a lesbian. I need you to go and ask people within your little circle that are not white. Some of you motherfuckers are never beating the allegations. Ever. Ever. You are a detriment to everything the LGBTQI+ stands for. You are. How the fuck are you racist and gay? Make that shit make sense. Like they gonna like your ass. And see, there are people within the LGBTQIA+ community that want to say that shit desperately. But they won't. They won't. You motherfuckers are the ones that came up with normal gay. The fuck is that? You motherfuckers are the ones that believe in MAGA shit. Y'all are the ones that wanted to be racist, misogynistic, transphobic, xenophobic, and you're an anchor on the entirety of LGBTQIA+. And rather than understanding that your ass is also a fucking minority, you would rather side with the white folks. Why? And I will never forget y'all saying this. Y'all said it, not me. We want to be with the normal straights. Y'all said that. That wasn't me. It was you. You're a detriment. an albatross, an anchor, the worst aspects of LGBTQIA+. You are. Because you are white before you were anything else. That's why you can give a fuck about your trans brothers and sisters, non-binary brothers and sisters, queer brothers and sisters. You don't give a fuck about them. Especially if they ain't white. Whoa! Y'all, have you ever noticed when you go into gay bars or places where gay people gather, trans people gather and shit like that? Have you ever noticed when you walk in the door, the entire mood changes? Do you know why that is? Because your fucking politics is toxic. You motherfuckers are the reason Grindr keeps crashing every time y'all get together. Because you want to hook up like you gay, but you want to be conservative. Y'all are the reason that Pride is no longer known as the history of a riot. Because you corporate motherfuckers decided, oh, it's a little bit too gay. That's too gay. Oh, drag. Oh, that's too gay. Y'all talk out of turn, out of school, and out of context. All the time. You think your tax bracket will save you from that ass whooping. Because them white boys, them racist white boys that you're appealing to, they don't give a fuck about you. They don't. They don't. They genuinely don't. They're looking at you like, oh, and I'm not even going to say what they're really thinking. I'm not, but.
My only problem with ICE is that they're going after every minority group except black people. I mean, you're trying to reduce crime. You're just giving them more room to breathe. But I understand. Can you imagine the shape you have to be in to deport black people?
We should all stop supporting Asian-owned businesses, is what I would say if I was fucking stupid.
Have we ever seen an Asian in the soul food spot en masse? Have we ever seen Asians supporting Black American businesses en masse? Let me know. Maybe I'm going crazy.
As much as my heart goes out to the Rick Chow case, you can't blame a whole community for one isolated incident.
Cannot understand Asian American history without understanding black history. And the sooner you understand why, the sooner you'll stop being a fucking tool. So there's actually a name for this. It's called racial triangulation. And this starts with the stereotypes that white supremacy assigns. Black Americans get hit with racism and Asian Americans get hit with xenophobia. Want more Asian people to understand that model minority is not a fucking compliment. When people talk about model minorities, it's usually from a place of like, oh, why can't you just like shut up and be like these nice, obedient Asian people? This model minority stuff is a way to like pit Asian people and black people against each other. It's often used in a way to gaslight into thinking that racism doesn't exist. That's fucking bullshit. Because the second it becomes useful to scapegoat you, it's gonna happen. Case in point, remember the China virus a couple of years ago? Now with this Rick Chow case, this is being framed as some kind of like Asian versus black issue. The harm is real. The anti-blackness in Asian communities is real. I am not excusing it, but I think we also need to ask who's benefiting from this dynamic? Who is benefiting when our communities are beefing with each other? The more I dig into this, the more I'm starting to see that it's not random, it's systemic. And I'm gonna speak directly to my fellow Asian Americans. If you believe that, oh, maybe if I just obey the status quo and be a good boy, I'll be accepted. No, stop being a fucking tool. Conditional acceptance is not acceptance, it's control.
Your heart doesn't really go out to what happened because you didn't make a video about what happened. You're making a video about the response to what happened, right? So which means you don't really care about what happened, but going after the response instead of the action.
And for all those that say that they're gonna stop supporting Asian businesses, the clothes on your back probably came from China.
It's the pomposity for me. I think it's very telling that lots of black Americans are getting upset because other people are talking about their Asian boycott and like we're documenting it all. We are going to continuously talk about the racism that is in the black American community because it's very important for all of us to have a general understanding between all of our communities. Asians, Latino, Indigenous American, black people, white, etc. we have to be honest about these conversations. Now, let me address what you actually said in the comment. So we are going to be next. Black Americans are going to target the entire Latino community. I think this is weird on the issue of optics, especially if you study economics or have any basic understanding of statistics. You are comparing a minor ethnicity of the United States, Black Americans. You're saying that they have so much grand influence to have such a economic drive to affect the grand population of the Latino community. So that means the entirety of Brazil, Mexico, the Latinos that live here inside the United States. And if we were to expand that rhetoric out and say Hispanics as well, or Latinos in general, Portuguese speakers, Spanish speakers, French speakers, that would include probably like the global community of those same speakers. So you're talking about like billions of people, and that's billions. So if you would like to do the math on that specific issue, try it.
So the racism is only towards some Asians. The Asian hate continues to spread while holding on to the Asian-owned companies that provide the clothes, the shoes, the purses, the electronics, the gadgets. How convenient. Being racist to less Asians does not make it any less racist. Out here targeting businesses just because they're Asian-owned, whether they did something to you or not. Emphasis on not, because that's racial profiling. That is racism. Like I said in my previous video, if a business is racist, by all means, yes, they need to be dealt with accordingly. You judge someone based on their character, not by their race, because no one wants to be profiled, no one wants to be followed around, no one wants to be treated like a thief just because the store owner has dealt with theft. That is wrong, and that is racism. You see where I'm going with this? No one wants to be profiled and lumped into the same category and punished just because of someone else's shit.
From the ways in which a lot of us were socialized and raised to not rock the boat, to be quiet, and to just kind of take whatever it is that's thrown at us. And now that we are adults and we have platforms and we can talk to cameras, a lot of us are really embracing that and really making up for lost time in terms of being able to talk about our experiences and the ways in which we faced discrimination in the past. Unfortunately, a lot of people are using their voice not to stand in solidarity with other communities of color, but to say, I will not be silenced anymore, and I need to be listened to. You will not invalidate my experiences of prejudice or discrimination any longer. It is not incumbent upon the Black community to have grace for and teach that part of our community. If it's incumbent upon anybody, I think it's other members of the Asian community to say, hey, we all know what living as an Asian person in this country feels like. And it's not always easy and it's not always good. But the ways in which racism is perpetrated against members of the Black community is also very different than what we feel. And we just don't know what that's like. And that acknowledgement in no way undermines or threatens your understandings of the racism that you have faced. We can talk about how Rick Chow's
Asian man who challenged all Black people to boycott all Asian businesses. I'd like to say thank you. We haven't seen a level of unity and camaraderie this large since probably George Floyd. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I don't know if Black people would have ever gotten to this point where we all unified under one singular movement this way. Like, it is powerful. The Asian people are starting to feel the effects of what you have done. This.
Okay, let me say this. I stopped supporting Asian businesses, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's not because I ever was mistreated, but let's start with the nail salon. You know, when I stopped getting my nails done at Asian-owned salons is when I went in there one day and I sat there and I looked around and I always saw the same demographic of people, white women and Black women. I never saw any Asian women in there getting their nails done. And my mind kept asking, why is there no Asian women ever in here getting their nails done? Then I start paying attention when I would go to the beauty supply. When I would go to an Asian-owned beauty supply.
This business thought customers would just forget what happened. But Black consumer had a very different response. They stopped spending. So now the boycott is becoming the story. So what started as an incident involving a business and its customer, whereby they have turned into a much bigger conversation about respect, consumer power, and where people choose to spend their money. But here is my opinion. We need to know exactly what happened before deciding who is right or wrong. So if customers genuinely believe they were mistreated, they have every right to say, I'm taking my money somewhere else. That is not violence. That is not revenge. That is customers' choice. A business survives because customers choose to support it. So when a large number of customers suddenly stop coming, that is a powerful message. The business owner can ignore it. They can blame the customer, or they can ask the most important question: what caused people to lose trust in us? And honestly, I think that last question is the smartest one, because if customer feels disrespected, rebuilding trust can be much harder than losing it. But I also think black consumers have a responsibility. A boycott should be based on facts, not rumors. So if something really happened, you have to explain it, and at least you have to show the evidence. Tell people what the business did and why you believe it was wrong, but don't attack every white-owned business because of the action of one company. That is where legitimate consumer activism can turn into a racial hostility. And the same principle applies in reverse. A business owner shouldn't treat every black customer as irresponsible for what happens online. Here is the question. If you believe a business treated you unfairly, would you boycott it, or would you give the owner another chance to explain? Personally, I believe consumers should have the freedom to walk away. Though your money is your choice, but the goal should be accountability, not destruction. So if a business made a mistake, there should be an opportunity to correct it. So if the business refused to change, customer can make their decision. And if the allegation turn out to be false, people should always also be willing to admit that. That is what makes a fair boycott. So that is what makes a fair boycott different from an online hate campaign. Now, there is also something we need to quickly talk about. Black Americans have enormous purchasing power, and whenever consumers collectively decide where they will and where they won't, so businesses have to pay attention. That is why boycott can be effective. You don't necessarily need to shout. You don't need to threaten anyone. Sometimes you simply stop buying. And if enough people make the same choice, the business feels the heat. But I don't think the goal should be black versus white or white versus black. The goal should be black. The goal should be treat customer fairly, respect people, and provide good service. And if you make mistake, take the responsibility. Those standards should apply to everybody. So that is my own opinion about that. So if you have any opinion you want to share, kindly drop it down respectfully in the comment section, and I would like to listen to it. Thanks for watching. Bye.